Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. We're gathered on the traditional territories of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I'd like to also acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. My name is Amanda Chapman, and I'm the Alberta NDP Education Critic. I'm joined here today by Beth and Michael, two parents with children who are currently enrolled in our public education system. The UCP is failing our students. Under this government, Alberta has the lowest funding per student in the entire country. Apparently, this disgraceful title isn't enough for the UCP. They've taken things a step further and seen to it that thousands of Alberta students are not really funded at all. Between in-year additions and being shortchanged by the weighted moving average, the Calgary Board of Education has a funding gap of 8,000 students. Calgary Catholic has been left without funding for 2,500 students. In Edmonton Public, it's 4,000 students. So right there, just with those three boards, that's a funding gap for 15,000 students. This is shameful. Our students deserve better. Our teachers and educational aides deserve better. Parents who spend their lives providing for their kids, worrying about their kids, working towards the betterment of their kids, they deserve so much better. Rather than prioritizing solutions to increase education funding, Danielle Smith and the UCP have seen to it that tens of thousands of Alberta children fall through the cracks of our education system. This week was Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you, teachers. And I'm sure that many teachers received those thoughtful cards and treats, but what teachers really need and deserve are resources and support from their government. They deserve funding, enough schools, and enough staff to facilitate effective learning in rooms that hold an appropriate number of students. We cannot accept the UCP's reckless management of our education system as the new normal. Classrooms are overcrowded, teachers are overworked, and our students are suffering every day. Now, I could stand here all day and list the numbers that showcase just how underfunded our education system is, but we have to remember that that underfunding has real-life consequences for everyday Albertans. So I would like to now turn things over to Beth, who's going to share with us a little bit of her story about what a lack of funding in schools means for her family.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm a single mom of 3 children, all with autism and ADHD. My sons, however, have been diagnosed with severe autism and severe global delays, which means they should have additional aids in their classrooms. But the lack of funding for education, they don't. I was told that my sons would benefit from having educational assessments done in order for the school to properly assess what resources, adjustments to curriculum, and special education they need. The school currently has a wait list of 15 students who need these assessments done. 1 assessment was done last year, none were done this year. All of these students need assessments done, not just mine. And ideally, these assessments need to be done by the end of grade 3. I was given information about a program run at the U of C that does the psych ed assessments for cheaper rates than private clinics. I will be paying $1,500 per boy, a total of $3,000 for the assessments for my sons that should be getting done through the educational system. I'm lucky to be getting family help to pay for these assessments. Otherwise, my sons would have to go on the long wait list at the school, which for a lot of parents is their only choice. For many parents, their only choice is to put their children's names on the list at the school and hope their child gets an assessment done. In the meantime, their child falls further and further behind in education. It makes me wonder, kids like mine and the other kids on the list, because they have special needs, do they not deserve a proper education? The educational staff at the schools are not to blame for any of this. They are doing their best with ever-growing class sizes, all with numerous children with high needs and learning challenges. Despite this, teachers are only given one teacher's aide. Teachers and many students have been left without any support. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Beth, for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. I'd like to now turn things over to Michael, another parent who's experiencing the first-hand effects of education underfunding.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm a stay-at-home dad of 3 girls, the oldest which has Down syndrome and type 1 diabetes. In the fall, she will be entering a horribly overcrowded high school with approximately 40 students in her class. She'll have no quiet space to focus without constant stimulation. She'll have a lack of consistent support. Without these things, she could very well fall behind. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what underfunding looks like. With 2 kids entering middle school and 1 entering high school, and as an active member of school council, every day I witness firsthand the effects of funding cuts to public education. At my younger daughter's school, the tradition of grade 5 Callaway Park trip came to an end this year, much to the disappointment because there simply aren't the resources. The annual Christmas concert was cancelled because if parents and students were to all attend the school, would have reached overcapacity. Students are being taught outside designated classrooms because there simply isn't enough space. And our school is relying more heavily on student volunteer janitors to maintain cleanliness because budget cuts for custodial staff. Overall, there are less field trips, less school concerts, less nurturing, less activities, and less opportunities for kids. And it's getting worse every year. Due to underfunding, our school was no longer able to provide free breakfasts for kids that needed it, which resulted in more kids coming to school without food. Luckily, our community rallied together, successfully fundraised enough to reinstate this program. But important programs like this should not be at risk in the first place. I want to emphasize that none of the fault of the school. Staff are doing the best they can do to support their students, and they can only do so much without proper funding. Energy in particular has been hit hard when it comes to overcrowding. The province needs to step up and provide our schools with resources. They need, which includes portable classrooms to address overcrowding and more funding. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. Numbers are numbers, but it's really the people who tell these stories and make it real for us what's happening with overcrowding and underfunding in our schools. So thank you, and I'm now available to take any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, everyone. So we'll now go to questions. Just a reminder to those joining us on the phone lines to use *9, and for those joining us on Zoom to use the raise hand function to get to the question queue. Do a quick pass for questions. All right, and with no questions, that concludes our press conference. Thanks, folks.
Great.